we wanted to establish a deeper foundation with our children as adults. We've done a really good job of getting them together as children, but as adults, we were lacking just a little bit. So we said, we got to do something to make an effort to bring everybody together once a year and just spend time together, learning and knowing and growing together as adults. Because you know what? My children, once they leave, it's not like they change so much. It's just they develop their own habits and their own things and their own mindsets. And so it's good to just keep up with that. Sometimes you just need that moment of everybody getting together, having to work together, um, just almost like team building, just coming together, doing things together. And we got a chance to learn how people think, how they operate in different things in life. So it's just a start. And in doing so, my husband created our Heinz family crest. And I really, really thought, wow, this was such a good idea. He wanted something to have in creating a legacy for our family. He wanted something that they could look at that was tangible, something that, okay, when they saw this, they would think, this is what the Heinz family means. And so each one of these symbols and colors have a meaning. I'm not going to go over that today, but I just wanted to say this is a start. He created this in 2022, but he just wanted to have something tangible that represented what was in his mind, what was in his head, what was he thinking about when he was trying to create a legacy for his family so that future generations could look at this symbol and know what the Heinz family crest means. So I just thought it was so good. I put it on a book, but we have a plaque, but I just thought it was so good. And that's just what we're going to talk about, a family legacy, like 10 foundational things that you can use to build a foundation. But before I get into that, if you've liked anything that you've seen or heard, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Because as I always say, you help me get the word out to other people, how to live life practically, how to do practical things that may seem hard to do when you hear somebody say it. But you know what? If you can see it walked out, if you can see it like practically talked about and maneuvered and done, then it'll make it a little bit easier for you to follow. So 10 foundational things that you can do to focus on when you're building a family legacy. And building a family legacy, sometimes I used to think, oh man, if we didn't establish it way back then we missed out. But I found out as we got older and as our children grew, it's never too late to build a family legacy because we realize we're not the same as we were 30 years ago. So something that we may have established about building a family legacy then may have changed once you start having children. It may have changed. So we never just want to get stuck in one place and think that that's just that. I mean, a legacy can start at any point. But like I said, today I'm going to talk about 10 foundations to focus on for now and for future generations. It can always be modified, but you want to find that core thing and then stick with that. So I'll go ahead and start. Number 1, the best thing to do when you are starting to build a family legacy, you have to first identify what you want your legacy to look like. That's the biggest thing. Like I said, my husband, he knew in his mind, he had an idea. And so the first thing he decided to do, like I said, he made something tangible, something that they could see, something they could touch, because he was trying to establish it. So you must identify your core value. What's important to you? What do you want to leave that's lasting? So decide those principles with your family, whether you want it to be something about faith, whether you want it to be about having courage or integrity, whether you want it to be something financial. Um, Maybe some people have different things that they care about, different things that they feel like that is important that they want to establish and start and have it grow with generations and generations. I can remember a story with the Kennedys. The father, you know, um, was very poor when he came to the United States, but he got into building, his business and establishing, learning how to grow a business and how to start many businesses. I guess maybe from who he hung around, he got taught the business, and then got taught like politics, and so he thought of something. He started making money, and he thought of something. And he said, "I'm just paraphrasing what I read, but." He started something good and he said, "You know what? I want to give this to my children. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give this to my children." And what he did was he had the idea, he verbalized, he identified what he wanted to be the core value in his family. And he said, "Okay, as I have children, each one of my children are going to be assigned something." They may not have liked it, but what he established, like he said, okay, one's going to be a lawyer, one's going to be a politician, one's going to be, in the armed forces. And he established that. He taught them business. He taught them, how to build a business, how to run a business. Everything that he learned from other people and building his own business and building wealth, he took that and he said, my children are going to learn this. And today, that generation, those generations after generations, those people are still in politics, still lawyers, still doing things that he established way, way in the beginning, way a long time ago, because he identified the core value that he wanted, and then he made it tangible. He made it come to life. And it's some things you got to do to set those things in motion. It's some things you got to do to make your family legacy become a reality. And I'm sure it was tough, but he had to put some things in place for that to happen. Number 2, I like this one. I established it on faith and spiritual foundation. You can make your legacy. Most people think it has to do with money. When you talk about legacy, and building something. If you ask somebody about legacy or an inheritance, the first thing they're going to think about is, "Oh, how much money do I get?" But it's not always about money. And so number 2 is in line with that, faith and spiritual foundation. I established with my children, that's something that I've wanted really strongly to do, was establish a relationship with God, to establish um, God in the home, like a moral ground that they could use, something to go. Now, they didn't have to stay that way, but it was just something that was important to me that I wanted to establish. It was established for me, and I thought it was good. It led me in the right path in my life. And I thought, you know what? This is something really, really good, that in getting a family together and having children, that was a great honor of mine to teach my children about the Lord, about who Jesus was and Jesus is. And I put scriptures up and we prayed and I had Bible lessons and we played games that all had to do with Christian values, because that was what was important. So that was a foundation that we established. And so that to me was something that future generations can understand and practice about faith, something that they can take and they learned and they'll always remember. And because I want my children and my children's children, and it keep going from there, I had to make it important. That's another thing. You have to make it important to them. If you're going to establish faith and a spiritual foundation, you have to establish it and then make it important. If you just say it one time and you don't live it, you don't walk it out, it's not gonna stick. Okay, number 3, a strong family identity. What should your family's identity represent? When other people say your name, what should that name represent when they say your name? Like if you think of the Jacksons, you don't always just go straight to the drama. When you think about the core Jackson, Joe Jackson, when you think about what he tried to establish, when you think about them, you think about music. You think about their legacy has to do with music, and almost everybody did something with singing or having a group or something. They did something that had to do with music. So what do you want your legacy to represent when someone says your name, or you hear your name? What do you want to follow after that? So that was number 3. Number 4, what's your family story? Give your family the story. I was at a retirement not too long ago, and I thought it was an amazing idea um, because this person had a son at a later age in life. And he said, man, my son will never get a chance to see all the things that maybe, he went through. But what he could do was tell the story on tape. He thought at the retirement that he made a whole recording of it, and he would tell the story of his father, of his mother, of how he became and what he did and how he triumphed and the struggles and where he came from and what he did. All the things that were important to him, he put all into a video. And I thought that that was so, so good because he told a story and he kept you into the story. So now that when his son is just, a toddler right now, won't remember the retirement, but guess what? He can always go back and look at this video and always hear what his father went through and what his family legacy was like, what his grandfather was like, because he made this video. And when his son is of age, he'll listen to it and it'll be important to him. It'll bring some clarity. Maybe in his life, he'll experience some things like, wow, I remember what my father said. I remember when he said my grandfather was like this. So I thought that was a good way to carry on legacy when you give your story, tell your struggles, your victories, what happened. Maybe you had military service background and you want to tell those stories. Sometimes those stories get untold. And so take your story and let it be heard. So I think that's good. That's number 4. Number 5 is establish healthy relationships. That is why, well, one of the reasons why we decided to do the Heinz family annual trip. That's why we decided to do it, because we said, we got to build these relationships. We did good by keeping them together as children. It was easy because we had control over them. It was much easier. But as adults, it's not so easy because everybody's got something to do and everybody's working and everybody's busy in their lives and busy with their own families. So it was important to us to say, hey, we're going to establish this trip. We already have the next year planned because we established a date and said, hey, whoever can make it, make it. If you can't make it, it's okay. But if you can make it, this is the thing, because we didn't want to have it so, okay, oh, well, that person can't come, so we're just not going to do it. No, it's important that whoever can make it, whoever can be there, then that is why we still want to keep going. We should always establish that. Like I said, we played games, we sat around the table, we talked, we prayed. We just established some things. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. So we're getting to that place where, we set the foundation of what we want it to look like. That is very, very important. You can identify what you want, but if you don't verbalize the expectation, if you don't verbalize it and actually say, this is the standard, this is what I require of you. Of course they don't have to do it, but at least you have verbalized the expectation of us as a family. Like things like, we want you guys, if something happened to us, to stay connected, help one another out. There should be nobody that's in lack because everybody has a supply. Everybody has something to share and something to give. So even if, maybe there's, strife or something like that, settle things quickly. Don't leave things lingering around. We have to establish healthy relationships. The only way you can do that is with that you make room for it. You make room for the time of having a healthy relationship. As I know, you don't know when your time comes. Things happen and you don't know the last breath you're going to have on this earth. So it's important to establish the healthy relationships, and it's not always going to be perfect, but guess what? You have this foundation that we're setting. You know what? This expectation we've told you, fight through those things. Give people grace, and let's try to work it out. The Bible says settle things quickly. Like, don't let things linger. If you have a quarrel, then pray about it, because again, I set that spiritual foundation. Pray about it, seek the Lord about it, but come back. Let's come together in having healthy relationships. Build the culture of communication, boundaries, forgiveness, conflict resolutions, all those things, respect for one another, because if you're not doing that, then if you're not leaving a legacy of healthy communication and forgiveness, starting from the core, then you've got to realize that you're probably pushing something else, like unforgiveness, like you did that to me, so I'm not going to talk to you. We can't. Life is too short, and we're not going to do that. As parents, even for our adult children, we realize, hey, it starts with us. We're the more seasoned people here, so we've got to show that, hey, it's okay. I forgive you. I don't like what happened, but for the sake of keeping peace and keeping my family together, that means more to me than a quarrel or getting somebody back or holding a grudge. Grudges are out. I don't care anything about a grudge. I don't want to do that because, number one, I don't want God to hold that against me. Now, God wouldn't, but I had to imagine if I hold a grudge continuously over somebody that they did, even if they were wrong. I was wrong before. You were wrong before. So how am I to say, I'm not going to forgive you? I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that because it breaks up peace in my life and in my heart, and I don't have time for that. It hinders if you hold a grudge and you just want to be in your own world and an idol of yourself and have that, it doesn't get you anywhere. So it's important in building healthy relationships that we work in that forgiveness as part of what I want you to remember as a family, as healthy relationships. You know what? We're going to focus on forgiveness. Okay, we're trying to build that relationship as adults, as adult children, and we're adult parents. We want to establish that. We knew them well as children, but we want to make sure we keep that going on as adults. So until next time, you be the best version of yourself that you can be, the God version. And until next time, bye.